Hello everyone, this is Mr. Navratil. We are going to be doing our sixth part in the Autodesk Inventor series. It's called the Fixture block. Taking a look at it right now, it may seem very intimidating. It seems like there's a lot going on, but in fact we're using all of the tools we have been using on all of our previous parts. We're just using them more often in this drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started like always with the overall length, height, and depth. You can see down in the dimensions they are quite large compared to what we've been dealing with before. That's because this drawing was in centimeters. We're going to keep it in inches. In reality, it doesn't really matter as long as everything's in perspective and in scale to itself. It also looks like these are comma points, which would indicate that they are in the thousands, but that's not the case as well. These are just the way that Autodesk sometimes does the decimal point. So instead of 75,000, this is just 75. So our overall length is 75 and our height is 30. I'm going to go make a sketch on the XY plane. Using our rectangle tool, I'm going to start on the origin. And when I go to dimension this, it's going to get huge and off the screen, and we'll have to scroll out a lot when I hit 75. And then the top is going to be 30, or the height rather, so I'll hit 30 here. And that way I can zoom out a little bit easier. So that's our length and our height. We're going to go ahead and finish. And we're going to extrude this to our depth. Looking at the drawing, we are going to have to determine this based on a radius dimension that is given to us. So we know the radius of this outer arc is 15, meaning that the entire diameter is going to be 30. So I will extrude 30. That gives us our overall block of clay. So it is personal preference on where you'd like to start chipping away at this one. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these big chunks here using this view as a reference. So I know that it's 42 from the end here and it is 9 up. So I'll sketch on the front view and I will simply just use the rectangle tool to click from here to up here. And again, it is from the end 42. And then from the bottom, it's going to be 9. Now, the issue is we cannot just extrude all the way across. We're going to have to extrude a certain amount, stop, and then extrude on the other side. So to do that, we can determine we are going to be extruding, let's see, the 9 plus 2.5. So that's going to give us 11.5 in total. So I'll hit extrude. I'll hit this one, I'll hit cut, and we are only going 11.5 across. And I'll hit OK. From here, I want to kind of flip this object around and do the same exact thing on the other side. I do want to make sure I'm doing it from this point, though. All dimension, this part of the rectangle was 42, and the height from the bottom was 9. I'll finish. And I will extrude the same amount cutting that way. And as you can see, they're going to meet and leave that extra space in the middle for us. From here, going back to the drawing, you can see that there is a slope on there, so we can simply just make a sketch on this surface and create a line that goes from here all the way to the bottom. And then just use the extrude tool to kind of get rid of that top portion, and we'll cut over. Using the drawing, you can find out that that is in fact 7 that's left. And I'll hit OK. So looks like we're shaping up here. We just got a couple more things to do. We're going to use a different tool to create the edges on here. It's very similar to the fillet tool, but instead of rounding, it just cuts off, or it chamfers the side. And to do that, we're going to come up to the top and find the chamfer tool. It should be up here somewhere. Sweep, revolve. If it's not showing up in one of your options, there are different view settings for Inventor. So if we come up and hit View, you can come to User Interface and change with a lot of things that you can see. The clean screen is one thing. There's an option where you can turn off a lot of the excess stuff. Doesn't look like we still have that chamfer tool, so we'll see if we can find it. Going back to user interface, we can get all of those things back. This button here seems to be giving us some options, so we'll click and see if we can find the right one. Okay, upon further expansion, I have actually found the chamfer tool. It seems as though the newest version of Inventor has hidden it. It's actually underneath the fillet tool here. If we click on this arrow, it gives us an option to change over to chamfer, and that is because they are so very similar. And then we can hit this drop-down box, and it gives us a little bit more of the options. So once we have the chamfer selected, you can select the edges in which you'd like to kind of create this chamfered edge. Now this is such on a big scale we can't really see the difference right now, but going back to the drawing, you could determine that those are a 9-inch cut. So we'll use our distance and we'll set it to 9, and it will automatically cut those edges off for us. A lot easier than going in, creating a new sketch, and using the extrusion tool. So the chamfer tool is going to be up here. Some of the last things we have to do is round over the back corners and create a hole in the top. I'm going to use the fillet tool, and I'm just going to select this edge and the back edge there, and our radius for this is determined by the drawing, which is going to be 15. So I will hit 15, and it will create that nice rounded edge on the back. And the last part here is to create a circle, and then use the extrusion tool to go all the way down. You can use what is already given to you here as a constraint and select that circle. That way you don't have to dimension it directly in the middle. The one thing that you do have to dimension is the actual diameter of it, though, which is, again, 15. So we will use our dimension tool, and we'll set it to 15. And from here, my last step is just to extrude this circle all the way down, which was, just double checking on our drawing, 30 high. We'll cut 30 down and hit OK. And you have your fixture block. Thanks for watching.